8 major Premier League transfer stories are making headlines today, including major developments on Bruno Guimaraes, Vinicius Junior, and several more key targets. This is Arsenal Current. Subscribe for the latest transfer updates.
Arsenal's pursuit of Bruno Guimaraes has taken another twist, with conflicting reports over whether a deal with Newcastle has already been agreed. Football Transfers reports that Arsenal made an offer worth around €80 million, but Newcastle immediately rejected it. Further talks are continuing, and another Arsenal bid is expected. However, a separate report claims an £80 million package has already been agreed between the clubs. That directly contradicts reports that Newcastle rejected Arsenal's opening offer. The latest information, therefore, remains contested. Arsenal are still pushing for the Brazilian midfielder, but there is no official confirmation of a completed transfer. The next step is expected to be further negotiations between Arsenal and Newcastle.
Arsenal remain interested in Vinicius Junior, but Real Madrid are still confident the Brazilian will stay at the Santiago Bernabeu. Vinicius has entered the final year of his current contract, which has created uncertainty around his future. Arsenal have been exploring a move for the Real Madrid winger as they look to strengthen their left side. However, Sky Sports has reported that Real Madrid have no intention of selling him this summer and expect an agreement over a new contract. Vinicius has now returned to Real Madrid training ahead of the new season. So, Arsenal's interest remains, but the current situation points towards the player staying in Spain, unless the contract talks change significantly.
Arsenal's pursuit of Vinicius Junior could have an important consequence for Viktor Gyokeres. Arsenal are reportedly focusing on Vinicius rather than pursuing Julian Alvarez at this stage. That matters because a major investment in the Brazilian could reduce the possibility of Arsenal spending heavily again on another superstar forward. Gyokeres was previously suggested as a possible make-weight in a deal involving Alvarez, but Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta has publicly stated that the striker remains part of his plans. The current report, therefore, points towards Gyokeres staying at Arsenal for at least another season. Atletico Madrid are also reported to want Alvarez to remain for at least one more year. For now, Arsenal's focus is Vinicius, and that could make Gyokeres' position at the Emirates more secure.
Barcelona have entered the picture for Manchester City midfielder Rodri. Real Madrid are already in talks over a potential move for the Spain international, with reports claiming that terms are in place with the player. However, there has been no breakthrough between Real Madrid and Manchester City. That has given Barcelona an opportunity. Barcelona have reportedly made contact with Manchester City to establish what it would take to sign Rodri. The midfielder is understood to be keen on returning to Spain, while Real Madrid remain involved in the situation. So, the race is no longer simply about Real Madrid and Manchester City. Barcelona are now monitoring the negotiations and could move if Madrid fail to reach an agreement. The next development will depend on whether Real Madrid can finally agree terms with Manchester City.
Liverpool have moved into formal talks with Paris Saint-Germain over a potential deal for Bradley Barcola. The France international has become a priority target for Liverpool, while reports suggest the player is open to the move. PSG would prefer to keep Barcola, but the situation could change as the French champions prepare to bring in further attacking reinforcements. There is still a significant difference between the two clubs' valuations. However, Liverpool are now actively trying to negotiate a deal rather than simply monitoring the player. That is the key change in the latest update. PSG must now decide whether to resist Liverpool's approach or consider a major offer for the winger. For Liverpool, the next step is clear. Negotiations will continue over the player's valuation and a possible transfer.
Juventus are interested in signing Manchester United forward Joshua Zirkzee on an initial loan deal. According to the latest report, Juventus remain keen on the Netherlands international despite bringing in Randal Kolo Muani from Paris Saint-Germain. The proposed structure could be similar to the arrangement Manchester United previously agreed for Marcus Rashford, with an initial loan and a possible permanent move. However, Juventus's move for Zirkzee could depend on Jonathan David leaving the Italian club first. So there is interest, but no completed agreement at this stage. Juventus are considering a loan route, while Manchester United would have to decide whether that structure works for them. The next step will depend on Juventus's.
Newcastle have made initial contact with the representatives of Porto midfielder Victor Froholdt. The Magpies are understood to have approached the player's entourage to assess his interest in a possible move. But this is still at a very early stage. There has been no club-to-club contact between Newcastle and Porto. Froholdt has also publicly indicated that he intends to stay this summer. Porto are protected by an €85 million release clause, meaning a substantial offer would be required for the Portuguese club to consider selling. For now, this is an exploratory situation rather than an advanced transfer. Newcastle have made contact with the player's side, but negotiations between the clubs have not started.
Arsenal are reportedly set to sign Blackburn Rovers teenager Igor Tyjon. The 18-year-old striker has been monitored by Arsenal for more than a year, and previous bids worth more than £1 million were reportedly rejected. Tyjon has not signed a professional contract with Blackburn, while his scholarship has been extended by another 12 months. That situation has increased expectations that he could leave Blackburn this summer. The latest report claims Arsenal are finally set to complete the move. However, this remains a reported transfer rather than an officially confirmed Arsenal signing. The next step is for the deal to be completed and formally announced by the clubs.
Which of today's transfer stories is the biggest one for Arsenal? Stay tuned for the next video and subscribe to Arsenal Current for the latest updates. Thanks for watching.